15 years? A span that should represent the prime of a man's career, yet in my memory, it feels like a barren landscape, vast, arid, and littered with the bleached bones of abandoned dreams. These were 15 years dedicated to the same corporation, the same steel and glass building in the heart of London that reflected the city's skyline. A sentence I served in the name of success, which, in the end, left me with only the ashes of the man I once was. I arrived there filled with that naive faith unique to youth. I believed wholeheartedly in the simple equation: effort begets reward, loyalty begets recognition. In the early years, I confused being exploited with being valued. The line between dedication and self-erasure was so faint, I failed to notice when I crossed it. I started at the bottom, determined to prove my worth. Whilst my colleagues watched the clock, I made my desk a second home. I took pride in being the first to arrive and the last to leave. The jokes, "Do you have a bed in the stationery cupboard?" were like medals I collected with secret pride. I believed every unpaid hour of overtime was an investment, every sacrificed weekend a necessary tribute to the promising career I imagined I was building. And it worked for a time. I climbed from intern to analyst to coordinator to department manager. I became the institutional memory, the go-to person who knew where everything was and how everything worked. But time, that ruthless teacher, held a cruel lesson for me. In systems designed for efficiency, no one is indispensable. My life became an endless loop. I woke in the dark, drank bitter coffee as my only morning ritual, and exchanged no more than a handful of functional words with my wife, Clara. Her eyes, once full of light, now carried the shadow of my perpetual absence. "You'll make yourself ill, Carlos," she'd say, her voice more a plea than a reprimand. And I'd respond with my weary mantra, "Just a bit longer, love. Once things settle down, once I secure that directorship, ... But the calm never came. There was always another fire to fight, another critical project, another impossible deadline. The corporate ladder revealed itself to be infinite. Every rung I climbed unveiled 10 more ahead. Meanwhile, life happened around me without my participation. My son Lucas learned to ride his bike whilst I reviewed spreadsheets on the sofa. My daughter Sophia won a riding competition, and I only found out a week later, discovering the crumpled certificate in her rucksack. I missed birthdays, family dinners, Sunday afternoons in the park. Call those moments I would now give anything to relive. I convinced myself that the greatest act of love was silent sacrifice, the salary that guaranteed material comfort. I failed to see that in trying to secure a hypothetical future for them, I was squandering the only real time we had, the present. The turning point came on a gray Monday. Director Mr. Enrica, man of calculated gestures and sparse words, summoned me to his office. His pale eyes seemed incapable of reflecting human emotion. They were instruments for cost-benefit analysis. I thought it was about a promotion. After all, I had just salvaged a crucial contract for the firm, work that had consumed 3 consecutive sleepless nights. Finally, I thought, recognition. "We need to talk about your performance," he began, without preamble. I opened my folder, ready to show him my metrics. "It's not the metrics," he interrupted, with a brusque wave. "It's your attitude. You seem ... fatigued." The word echoed in the room. Fatigued. I was exhausted, not from a lack of dedication, but from carrying the weight of entire departments on my shoulders. "I was only trying to be transparent," I explained. "The pressure on the team, you're taking it personally," he cut in. "This is a company, not a family." The phrase landed like a bombshell. Not a family. That was precisely how I had always viewed the place, as a home I defended tooth and nail. "With all due respect," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "I've dedicated 15 years to this firm. I think I deserve a modicum of respect." He stared at me for a moment, his cold eyes measuring my despair. "Respect doesn't pay the bills, Carlos. Results do. If you're looking for recognition, I suggest you look elsewhere. Here, no one is irreplaceable." I left the room with a knot in my throat. Those 15 years, the sleepless nights, the missed dinners, the "I'll play with you later, son," disintegrated in seconds. I was merely a number, a disposable line on a balance sheet. I arrived home early that day. The sun hadn't yet set. Clara was surprised to see me. "Has something happened? Are you unwell?" I shook my head, strength failing me, and collapsed onto the settee. Lucas ran up to me, his face beaming, clutching a drawing. "Look, Daddy, I drew you at school." It was a stick figure, encased in a large black rectangle of a suit, holding a briefcase with a serious face, no mouth. "Doveit." Wobbly crayon letters. My dad. It shattered me. That was how my own son saw Mia's suit, a briefcase, an absence, not a present father. I went upstairs to our bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, and then the tears came. I wept as I hadn't since I was a child. I cried for all the lost time, for all the absences, for all the empty promises. I cried for the grand lie I had told myself, that of the noble sacrifice. The truth, hard and raw, was that I was running away. The office, with its urgent crises and its illusion of importance, was my refuge from the complexities of domestic life. I was hiding behind work to avoid facing who I was when I wasn't the manager. That sleepless night, I realized the company wasn't evil, it was worse. An amoral system designed to extract value until the human resource was depleted. And I had been an enthusiastic accomplice. I traded real days for digits in a bank account, memories for met targets. 2 days later, with a clarity that washed over my soul, I handed in my resignation. The letter was brief, formal, thanking them for the opportunities, an irony only I understood. Enrique read it quickly. "Are you certain?" "For the first time in 15 years, I replied. "I am." He shrugged and returned to his computer. Not a thank you, not a good luck. 15 years reduced to a shrug. I left the building for the last time feeling both relief and fear. The relief was immense, liberating. The fear of the uncertain of the future was icy, but relief reigned.
I was free.
The following days were a rediscovery. I took my children to school and actually listened to their stories about mates and teachers. I made breakfast with Clara, and we laughed at my disastrous first attempts at pancakes. I rang my brothers. Life revealed itself to be strangely simple. For the first time in a very long while, I was present body and soul in the same place. Time the dust settled and the question arose, and now? The idea of starting my own business, always postponed, became a real possibility, profying but real. I used a portion of our savings and opened a small consultancy in my area of expertise. The start was arduous. The uncertainty was a constant companion. There were dark nights of the soul when I thought of packing it in, of returning to the illusory security of a fixed salary. But Clara, my rock, would gently remind me of what I'd said the night I left the company. "You said you wanted to live, not just survive. Remember?" And I remembered. Those words gave me the strength to carry on. Things began to move slowly, client here, a referral there, but I worked with a different energy now, with freedom. My motivation was no longer to impress a superior, but to build something of my own. I could stop in the mid-afternoon to collect the children from school. I could have lunch with Clara without glancing at the clock every 5 minutes. Work became integrated into life, without dominating it. The fear never completely vanished. The responsibility of being the architect of my own destiny weighed more heavily than that of following orders. But something fundamental had shifted within me. I no longer worked out of obligation, driven by fear of failure or a craving for external validation. I worked with purpose. Years passed. The business, nurtured with dedication, grew. It didn't become an empire, but it became solid, sustainable. Today, I have a small team, incredibly talented and loyal. I treat each of them with the dignity I wished I had received. My children are now teenagers. This time I am here to see it. I am present for the fits of giggles at the table, the maths problems, the awkward conversations about life. I attend school plays, parents' evenings, Sunday lunches that stretch long into the afternoon. Clara smiles again with that sparkle in her eyes I hadn't seen in a very, very long time. The permanent tension that inhabited our home has dissipated, replaced by a quiet peace. Every now and then, I think of Enrique and the firm. The memory no longer hurts. I feel, surprisingly, a flicker of gratitude, for it was in that cold conversation, under that indifferent gaze, that I finally woke up. He was the involuntary messenger of my liberation. I understood belatedly that it wasn't the company that had used MIT, was I who had allowed myself to be used. I who had accepted the unfair bargain. I who had become complicit in my own absence. Today, I understand that success is not a job title, a status, the model of one's car, or one's postcode. Success is being able to sit at the table with the people you love, look around and know with a visceral certainty that you are exactly where you are meant to be. There is no other place in the world you should be in that moment. And that is what makes me happy. Quiet, serene happiness that needs no spotlight. The firm remains in the past, along with the version of me who believed recognition came from the outside, the version who confused motion with direction. Now, the only recognition I need is the one I find in the mirror each morning, the ability to hold my own gaze without flinching. And it is reflected back at me, 1,000-fold, in the eyes of my family. In Lucas's fierce hug when he comes home from school, in Sophia's knowing smile when she sees me deep in thought, in the gentle pressure of Clara's hand on the back of my neck, saying without words, "We're in this together." Because in the end, I had to pay the highest price 15 years of my time to learn the hardest and most beautiful of lessons. Simple truth, but one I needed to lose a decade and a half to properly understand. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is worth more than time. The time to be present, to truly live, to love. Time once lost is gone forever. And it's true, devastating cost is only realized when it is too late to get it back. Thanks for getting this far. If you liked it, consider subscribing to the channel.